Hi, I'm Robin. It's been over a month now since the war in Ukraine started, and the war has hit a turn. Time to talk fast and eat ass, and I think it's time for a gut check. Gut check! Where do things stand? What does the geopolitical landscape look like, and are we ready for the changes that are coming? Russia currently controls the cities of Novokakhovka, Melitopol, Enerhodar, my wife's hometown of Berdyansk, and Kherson, as well as Chernobyl and Zaporizhia nuclear power plants. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant staff, which was being held over the first 3 weeks of the invasion, were allowed to leave, on the condition that volunteer staff would replace them to maintain safety operations at the plant. The replacement staff have been maintaining the plant for over a week, and Russian soldiers have been digging up irradiated soil in the Red Forest to reinforce the defenses. Pause for facepalm. When a Russian soldier was asked about whether they knew anything about the 1986 explosion of the fourth block in Chernobyl, they didn't have a clue or know what facility they were at, responding only that it's critically important infrastructure. The Ukrainian military has stopped any significant advances over these past 2 weeks, continuing to hold Mariupol, Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odessa, Zaporizhia, and the front lines in Donbass. As of March 27th, over 3 million people have fled the country, with over 7 million total displaced from their homes. By country, here are the total refugees reported to have been accepted in neighboring countries: Poland, Romania, Moldova, Hungary, Slovakia, Russia, and Belarus. Here are the reported refugees in all other countries: the Czech Republic, Germany, Bulgaria, Italy, Turkey, Israel, Lithuania, France, Estonia, Spain, Portugal, Latvia, Denmark, Finland, and Croatia. On March 4th, the EU implemented the Temporary Protection Directive for the first time in its history, giving Ukrainians the right to stay in EU member states for 1 year, with the ability to extend up to a maximum of 3 years, granting them access to residence, work, medical assistance, and education. While the circumstances surrounding the evacuation to the aggressor states of Russia and Belarus are questionable, certain reports indicate coercion, which I'll touch on later. As of March 7th, 900 communities have been left without power or running water. As of March 24th, the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights has reported 2,685 civilian casualties, including 1,035 killed, over 130 of which were children. Since February 24th, reported Russian casualties have reportedly surpassed 30,000, 16,000 of which have been reported killed by the Defense Ministry of Ukraine. For comparison, the total reported deaths of U.S. soldiers over 2 decades in Afghanistan and Iraq are approximately 7,000, and the sum of reported Russian losses from the two Chechen wars occurring between 1994 and 2009 just passed 13,000. Ukrainian officials have reported approximately 1,300 Ukrainian soldiers killed and almost 4,000 wounded as of March 12th. Local authorities of the besieged city of Mariupol have reported 6,000 residents of Mariupol had been forcibly evacuated by Russian soldiers to Russian-controlled territories. The mayor of Mariupol stated in an interview with Ukrainian news source UNIN that between 20 and 30,000 residents had been forcibly moved, some from evacuation buses destined for Zaporizhia that were captured by Russian Donbass militants and redirected to Russian-controlled Donetsk. Satellite images have captured filtration camps in the occupied Donbass region, where reports have indicated selective processing for anyone connected to the Ukrainian military or war efforts since 2014. In many cases, passports and other legal documents have been confiscated, with Ukrainian nationals being relocated to remote regions of Russia, similar to filtration camps from the Chechen Wars and forced migrations from the Soviet era. Over 80% of Mariupol's buildings have been damaged or destroyed, and approximately 160,000 residents remain in the city. SpaceX has sent thousands of Starlink units to Ukraine with the hope of securing internet availability for emergency services and military usage in areas with compromised internet infrastructure. The Comeback Alive Fund, though initially stripped of their initiatives page on Patreon, has to date received over $20 million in funding from 50 countries in order to better equip Ukraine's military. Their open financial statements report all of the donations they've received, as well as all their purchases using this funding. United Help Ukraine has spent over $3 million in humanitarian aid and protective military equipment, and reports that purchases and delivery updates weekly. Airbnb has agreed to coordinate short-term stay for 100,000 displaced Ukrainians. The International Legion of Territorial Defense of Ukraine has reportedly amassed over 20,000 volunteer fighters from 52 countries to aid Ukraine's military as of March 7th. The US has agreed to accept up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees, which is nice, but is being heavily criticized over a clear double standard over race in asylum seekers. The UK has started a Homes for Ukraine visa program that has met ample criticism due to the lack of support for transportation, as well as a highly abusable sponsorship requirement that heightens the risk of human trafficking. As of March 22nd, the EU has announced over €1 billion in military aid and lethal weapons to Ukraine, as well as €550 million in humanitarian aid. To date, 51 individual sovereign governments have sent or pledged military or humanitarian aid to Ukraine, including several countries that abstained from condemning Russia's invasion at the March 2nd UN Emergency Special Session, which included India and China. These two countries have notably voiced support for Putin despite not officially supporting Russia's invasion, and continue to maintain their trade partnerships in spite of international condemnation and sanctions. As things stand, most of the world remains united behind Ukraine. The concern of Chinese collaboration with Russia's invasion are offset by the largest outbreak in 2 years of a new strain of COVID-19. Redoubling quarantine measures and securing their economic health ahead of upcoming elections, as well as international economic pressure not to cross picket lines, lessens the likelihood of China offering non-economic support to the financially isolated Russian government. In terms of what awaits us, Biden has been gesturing at regime change, and Russian oligarchs are beginning to waver under harsher and harsher sanctions. Thousands of protesters in Russia have been imprisoned, and all coverage of the war in Ukraine being described as a war or invasion have been banned, with jail time as punishment in Russia. While international gas prices have gone up, Western oil companies have hit record profits as the US and 30 other countries release petroleum reserves to dampen the cost of sanctions on Russian oil on the international energy sector. The western Ukrainian city of Lviv has been hit with multiple missiles 4 times in the past 2 weeks, twice having occurred this past Saturday, once not 3 kilometers from where my wife and I live. Reporting ethics standards are being questioned given the irresponsible live reporting of the attacks in Lviv, as well as following an attack at a Kyiv mall following a TikTok showing Ukrainian military vehicles in the mall's parking lot, resulting in a missile strike at that mall's location. Civilians and journalists are being asked to show restraint in sharing unverified or military information, or from compromising geolocation anywhere near military or civilian infrastructure. Numerous infiltrators have already been apprehended, recording and sending troop stations or movement to Russian intelligence, and I'm sure many more remain within the relative sanctuary cities of Lviv, Uzhhorod, Lutsk, and Ivano-Frankivsk. We're more than a month in, and while Ukraine's military and volunteer forces are holding strong, Ukraine continues to depend on the resolve behind its foreign partners in committing aid, equipment, and leveraging the United World's economic strength to cripple Russia's ability to finance fuckface McBitchnuggets' invasion. With Ukraine having survived Russia's opening gambit, Russian forces have moved into a battle of attrition, attacking civilian infrastructure and committing all forms of military atrocities in hopes of breaking Ukraine's spirit or to poison the well with enough misinformation to convince countries supporting Ukraine to, out of indifference or exhaustion, turn a blind eye on the invasion and lift sanctions on Russia. As things stand, the end of the war rests solely on Putin's disgusting shoulders. Removing him from power is the singular condition for Ukraine's victory on the behalf of the entire world. The world awaits with bated breath for his demise, and until Russia leaves an independent Ukraine, there will be no quarter for any who remain in his camp. For many who have suffered and continue to suffer because of the invasion, the only good Russian right now is a dead Russian. All we ask of you, Dictator McBitchnuggets, is to be good. There's another air raid. Okay. Okay. On an unrelated note, I managed to finish Elden Ring. It was good. Slava Ukraini.